Hi, I'm Dan Aubuchon, and if I look a little different today, it's these very stylish paper sunglasses, courtesy of the eye doctor. I just got back from a 2-hour appointment, and the verdict is out. My left eye is dead, and I'm going to have to get injections in my right eye to keep it alive. They tried a new medication today, and hopefully we'll see some benefit tomorrow. But I didn't want to miss the YouTube broadcast, so I decided I would go with this stylish look today. Today's topic is about boredom in teaching tennis. If you're bored as a teacher, there's a big problem. You won't stay with this profession. As I've mentioned before, I started teaching in the 70s, in the early 70s. And with one exception, almost every other teacher that I met in those early days of teaching has left the industry, is no longer teaching tennis. And when I've had a chance to talk to a lot of them, the number one reason they gave for leaving tennis was that teaching got boring for them. This mystified me. I couldn't understand anything less boring than teaching tennis. I've done it for over 50 years now, and if I could somehow magically get back on the court today, I would do it in a heartbeat. So what's the difference? Why am I so fascinated with teaching, and so many of those tennis pros, men and women, that I started with ended up leaving the tennis industry because of boredom? I think it goes to what you're teaching. There was a famous tennis teacher who started a program that he called the Official Standard Method. And to me, it was like a paint by numbers. There were steps that you followed for every student, and you tried to cram the student into those steps. There was a famous book in the 70s called Watch the Ball, Rack It Back, Bend Your Knees, That'll Be $35, Please. And it was kind of a parody over the three most common things that tennis teachers said to students. Everybody was told to take their racket back. Everybody was told to watch the ball. Everybody was told to bend their knees. What I loved about PBI when I met Peter Burwash is those were three of the things that we were banned from saying. We were not allowed to use those things because they went to some of the myths of tennis. If the Official Standard Method, who the inventor of that said very publicly that he designed that teaching method to protect students from bad teachers. It was paint by numbers, so it couldn't do any harm, he thought. I disagree, but the idea is if you understand what is paint by numbers. Paint by numbers is a drawing or an outline, and it has numbers in each different section. And those numbers correspond to the color that you're supposed to paint into that area. Well, it's fine, and you get a picture at the end of it, but there's no paint by numbers hanging in art museums. Peter, the way he explained the PBI concepts, is we gave you a palette of the colors, and each student was the canvas, and they were a blank canvas. And Peter used to tell everybody joining the company that it'll probably be 4 to 7 years before you're become very good at using the PBI concepts with your student. And I think one of the best compliments Peter ever gave me was we were teaching in a group camp environment, and Peter was roaming the courts, and at the end of the session, when we were doing the review, Peter asked me, he said, "How long have you been in PBI now?" And I said, "Well, 3 years." He says, "Wow, you are doing great. You're way ahead of where most people are. You've got a handle on what the concepts are." And I was really very, puffed up by that. I thought, wow, this is great. I'm learning it. But I do know that Peter was right. At 7 years, I noticed a difference. At 10 years, a difference. At 15 years, a difference. At 30 years, a difference. Because the concepts I was so familiar with the colors, I was so familiar with the concepts that I could really focus on each student and decide what concepts to use, what colors to paint. So I think that's why I stayed so engaged. Now, why is this relevant in today's tennis world? I just read an article last night that a very senior pro in the USPTA, who's a director of tennis at a large club in Atlanta, he was talking about how he had 4 full-time tennis professionals on his staff and all the different things he was doing to make sure they didn't leave the industry. And they were all good things, limiting their hours, trying to give them things that would challenge them in terms of different events they had to run. But he never talked about the teaching concepts. And I think that's one of the areas that's left out. For tennis teachers to stay involved in this industry, they have to believe in what they're teaching. They have to really feel it and know what's great about it. So whether you use Peter Burwash's concepts or Vic Braden's concepts or somebody else or your own experience, I hope you will continuously learn how to apply these concepts to your students. A few episodes ago, quite a few episodes ago, I mentioned Kirk Anderson's book about more than lessons. And again, it was teaching understanding the game of tennis. And so I'm hoping that all of you out there who are teaching are staying in love with the sport, challenging yourself to learn more, and keep enjoying the joy of tennis teaching. So I'm going to sign off now. Next Thursday, please remember, click the like button. Please subscribe. We didn't check, but I don't think we're at 100 subscribers yet. We're hovering at that 98 mark. So for those of you who are watching this, if you haven't subscribed, I hope you will. And next Thursday, I'll be back.